So before I will dwell into my presentation, I would like to ask you one question. Can you relate to the protagonist of this movie?
Fine. I was 3 minutes late. I'm sorry for doing one thing wrong.
Oh, wait for it. Let's start with the disco.
Amazing solve. I got to get past the 20 minutes.
You also mislabeled the evidence, so that confession is worthless if the sergeant had caught your mistake. Here are 3 cases with sloppy paperwork. Here are 2 pictures. One is your lock. Third is a garbage opinions. Can you tell which is which? That was the down. They're both your locker.
Gosh, I guess that is good.
So, probably not. My desk doesn't look like a dump. I have everything I need around me. I don't need anything more. Everything is okay. But have you had this feeling, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, when you started to work from home, when you were working in your living space, that there is something around you, something distracting, some heaviness on your back that you cannot really name? Maybe it's our attention span. I'm so sure I've read something on the internet about it. We do not have so much of it now, especially the younger generation. Except, it's not true. There are no studies that show that we have less attention span this time. So I want now to take you for a short journey that took me from here to that. And minimalism is a word we hear very often now. It's almost a commercial slogan. But my journey starts not with a book I've read about it, not with someone that came to me and told me about it, but with my own upbringing. So I was raised in just a usual home where there were people gathering usual stuff around them. Clothes, books, documents, small and big things you can use in the future because they may be useful and we should not throw them away. With time, it was apparent that all these things cannot fit in the designated spaces. Because of that, I never had my own room. I really found somebody else's clothes in my own wardrobe. So when I had opportunity, I left my house and I took some things with me. Some things I was so sure they're necessary to me. And in one of the houses I was living in, I've met a hoarder, a person that compulsively collects possessions. And for the first time, I saw it from a proper perspective. That person was stuck in one place, thinking all the time about one thing. Do I have already this thing? Should I buy it? Where did I put it? Have I took this from home? It's one of these 17 things I'm always taking from home with me. And I looked on myself and I thought, I'm not a hoarder myself, but all the things I have, they are taking my space, my personality, and also my time. So I looked on my room, and this is not it, I do not have a cat. And I started to categorize things. What do I really need? What is useful to me every day? Many of these things were just traps prepared by our society, by commercials, a fire stoked all the time in our heads that we should buy something. Everybody has that. You need to have this. Buy it before it will disappear. And I came to know that there is another trap in that. I wanted to sell these things because they have value. And I cannot sell something that has a value. But in an economy where everything new you can get very cheaply, very fast, used things rarely have a real value. And exactly like Maciej told us in the presentation, I started to renovate things, but I also learned to give them away. The things I did not need, maybe somebody else need them. I started to give away to organizations that would pass them to people in need. I thought that with many of them, I could not live. And yet, after I gave them away, I never thought about them again. So at the beginning, I felt just like this chunk of marble. It has a form, but it's similar to every other marble block around. So it has no soul, really. But then I started to take a form. I was not defined by the things I owned, I was defining them. The less around me became more. So I started to gather all the things that I use. In this corner, I had my archery equipment because I really love archery. I really like to read reportage books. So here is the shelf with all the books I like to come back to. With time, I started to learn who am I? And I also started to find out what the new things that are interesting to me. So I started to be interested about my impact on the environment and my wallet. I looked into my bathroom and I asked myself, do I really need so many reusables? Do I need a plastic? I went almost zero waste. And I started also, just like Maciej found out, to renovate things that I would normally throw away. With time, I also developed a new taste in interior design. I started to notice everything around me. Because minimalism does not need to be white, devoid of happiness, empty. Everything that gives you joy has a purpose. For myself, I have a collection of board games that I play with my friends. And every box, even though it's a box, and you can have many boxes, is another experience. If I do not play it with them, they do not like it, I do not like it, I just give it away and I never remember about it. But is the minimalism only about material things? No. Especially now. Coming back to the beginning of the presentation, when I was talking about the attention span, there are no studies, once again I will repeat, there are no studies that really show that we have any less attention span than the generations before us. What happens to us is that we live in times where we have so much more distractions than the generations before us. And it's our choice to use them. For example, in work, especially in work, it's usually our phones. So I've deleted all my social media apps from my phone. In fact, by the end of this month, I won't have any accounts on social media at all. Do I miss because of that? Do I not go to the events I like? Do I not meet people I like? Am I in information bubble because of that? Not at all. And in work, I'm in work. If the world would like to connect with me, I will get a text message, I will get a phone call. But on this desk, I've put deliberately something distracting. And this is this ball that I've actually got last year from CBRE. It's a stress ball. I can squeeze it every time I'm stressed. I can play with it when I'm thinking about something. I also realized that I can exercise my eyesight when I'm looking at it. However, in the end, it's our choice, not the choice of the things that we possess. In the end, when we dig ourselves up, we look at ourselves and we see who we are, what we want to do, and what we have in our minds, what we want to learn and do with ourselves. With less litter around us, less litter in our heads, we grow as people. And I've learned my own way to minimalism, but I know it has sometimes a darker side. So we may be tempted to want less and less. So for example, we may think that, I should read only one newspaper or watch just one YouTube channel because it's so minimal. We can land in an information bubble because of that. Many ideologies I would not name promoted the idea of cleaning your surroundings before pushing it over. So we should not use it to belittle other people because they have, for example, more things than we do. It's something that should be used for our growth. So, as I said, it's a process. I'm thankful that I had this time with you. I hope I had a possibility to inspire you. If you would ever need any help with approach to the minimalism, you can find me on Zoom in the company, and we can talk about it